There's a movie called The Hours that I saw some years ago and didn't think that much of, except that it's really depressing, because it is really depressing. I kind of viewed it as like almost exploitative sadness at the time. Like it's depressing for the sake of being depressing. Whenever I have that argument about something, a lot of the time it means that it made me too sad for me to really say that I liked it. I still wanted something of a happy ending. And I've kind of retrained myself in consuming art. Not that everything that's sad or even makes me cry is necessarily good, but I just am acknowledging that stuff does not have to have a happy ending. Or even if it does have a happy ending, it is allowed to still have some really bleak undertones to it. I saw a movie this year called Lean on Pete that really changed how I think about sadness in movies, which I definitely recommend, but I don't recommend looking up anything about it, and just be prepared for an emotional ride. But yeah, The Hours, the basic point of this movie, like the basic thesis, is just that living is hard. Your day to day is hard. The torture, the real torment comes in the hours. Just the passage of time throughout a day, just getting through a day can be so difficult sometimes, in a way that's so hard to complain about, because you know that everybody else has to go through the exact same thing. So who is going to sit there and listen to you and validate your problems? Isn't that interesting? It's almost ironic that when we have a problem that is too universal, it makes it harder to really strike a chord with other people for it, because they're like, yeah, that's just life. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, just getting through a day can be so hard. And one of the little vignettes in this, there are 3 stories going on. One of them is about this woman who is a stay-at-home mom, like in the 50s, I think. Lives in suburbia, has kind of a relatively good, solid, glamorous life. And it's just a life that she can't handle, strictly because of that. It's so hard to get through day after day after day of just this. And in fact, she almost offs herself in the movie. She almost does. But then she goes to her son afterward, like her little kid, her little 7 or 8 year old, whatever, and says, Mommy was thinking about staying away for a lot longer, but then she changed her mind. And for a second you think, oh, so like her love of her son is what's, what made her decide not to do it. But no, in the end, she abandons her son. She picks him up from school or something. I don't remember exactly how the plot unfolds, but yeah, she leaves at the end. She decides not to off herself because she decides that she is going to run away, and that finally gives her the peace and resolution that she's been looking for. And you listen to that and you're like, that is so incredibly selfish. But the torment of the day was so bad that she didn't want to be alive anymore. And so I guess it is better that she stay alive, even having to do something really, really horrible in the process. It's not an easy question to answer. There are certain ways throughout my life in which I felt a little bit enslaved to my day-to-day, just because to change it would affect some people. Affect friendships, family relationships, other obligations that I've set for myself. I'm about to face one of those right now in moving to my new place. The torment of the hours is such a hard one to explain, because in any given moment, you're seemingly fine. There's nothing immediately coming to attack or kill you. But it's just accumulation of them, and knowing that I will be doing the same thing tomorrow that I was doing yesterday, that just really, really wears on people after a while. And it makes it complicated when you try to make some big life change of like, how selfish are you allowed to be? How selfish are you going to let yourself be? You're going to have to be selfish in some way, because you're going to have to disappoint people when you make big life changes. But if it's for the sake of keeping your well-being the strongest, that's a selfishness that you just have to kind of take sometimes. Yeah, self-centered, selfish, words that are considered so derogatory, they sort of change their meaning as you get older. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I strive for financial independence. Why that's one of the biggest desires in my life, is just so that I can make sure that the hours are rich and fruitful, even if they're monotonous and repetitive. The onus is really on oneself, I guess, at the end of the day, to make sure that the hours are as fulfilling as they can be.